I got a little secret to tell you all. Would you believe me if I told you I was a huge JRPG fan? Yeah, with the Leo Luster profile pic, I don't really seem like the type, but yeah, I'll slurp me up an RPG in a heartbeat. I can't really explain what it is, but it's this feeling of growth and satisfaction throughout the game, to see big numbers get even bigger. To go from pure amateurs to god-slaying behemoths by the end of the game, it's a feeling not many other genres can hit that sweet spot in. Whether it be JRPG, action RPG, strategy RPG, I enjoy them all the same. My favorite game of all time is Kingdom Hearts 2, which is action RPG gameplay perfection. It's the one game I struggle to name a flaw about. But if you're a fan of RPGs, there's a few games which you are basically obligated to play. And one of those games is Earthbound. And yes, of course I played Earthbound. What do I look like to you? Your average Earthbound fan? And what I experienced, I enjoyed it. It's a good RPG. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 flawless masterpiece, but I can say it's a game any RPG fan should experience. There really is no other game like it. Insert anti-RPG joke here. The one thing about the game that everyone can agree on is, it's charming. From the characters, the locations, to the writing, it's hard not to get pulled into its little world. Shigesato Itoi had no idea how many people he would influence with this one game all those years ago. It has had many fans of it over the past 30 years, showing different ways to express their love for it. And one of those ways is the game's massive ROM hacking community, where they would ultra-mod the game in various ways, usually adding quality of life changes to make the gameplay experience smoother, or it could be a complete overhaul of the entire game. Famously, Undertale creator Toby Fox will get his start in game development at just 15, where he ROM hacked Earthbound and turned it into a super edgy take on the game called the Halloween hack. And for what it is and being made by an edgy teenager, it's not bad at all. Now, usually, most ROM hacks are made out of love for the original source material, or you feel like working on your own coding and hacking skills, but there's usually some sort of passion for the original, no matter the case. But what if you weren't the biggest fan of the original? What if you thought it insisted upon itself? What if you looked at Earthbound and thought, you could do better? Well, there exists a hack to answer that question. And the hack in question is called Mother 2.1 Relocalized. Now, what in the world is this? Well, let the description tell you. Have you heard endless praise for Nintendo's bizarre RPG Earthbound, and then tried it, only to be disappointed by an experience that felt overly pretentious, narcissistic, and just plain badly translated? Well, brother, this is the hack for you! Mother 2.1 aims to punch up Earthbound's script and give a little more kick to the weaker jokes, clean out all the smarmy smugness left behind by the game's creator, and generally make the narrative feel a little more cohesive and less like an overly glorified movie director writing a bad fanfiction about himself in video game form. So, this guy is claiming he's gonna fix the game. Well, I'll be the judge of that. The hack didn't get too much recognition when it came out. As you can see, it has less than 1,000 downloads. But for those who did download it, hoo boy. The little bit of attention this hack got was not good attention. You can tell by just looking at the reviews, which are all calling it garbage. It made its way to the Starman forums, where they also weren't very kind to it. People did not like this hack. Also, as you probably noticed, I've also blurred out the creator's name. I did that because I'm going to make this clear right here, right now. Do not seek out the creator and harass him. He has since disowned his one and only hack, for reasons you'll see much later. This hack got so much hate, the creator actually had to go back and rewrite a bunch of stuff, realizing he had fucked up, naming this patched version Mother 2.1 Slightly Less Terrible Edition. But I don't want a toned down, rewritten version. I want the original as God intended, uncut, uncircumcised. But tracking down the original proved to be a little difficult. Everywhere I looked, I could only find the patched version, so it looks like the only way I could play the original is if someone still had a copy on their computer. As a last resort, I joined the Starman Discord, asked around, and in about an hour's tops, someone came forward and just so happened to have an old version of the game. Well, that was easier than I expected. Big shoutouts to that Discord, by the way. We're back in business, baby. Big spoilers for Earthbound are going to be in this video, as this is really a whole tour of the game. So if you're still unfamiliar to the game and want to give it a shot, this is your chance to leave now. I've decided to keep the character names and the name of your attacks to their canonical ones that are in-game. With one exception. I like to think in this universe, Ness enjoys a big helping of Reddit as his favorite meal. Now the game starts up just like Earthbound did, with Meteor crashing and waking Ness and his family up, and you decide to go investigate. This hack is a text-based hack, meaning any major elements of the game are completely untouched. The structure of the world and the story aren't affected. The battle system, what you're probably doing the most of, is completely untouched. It's the exact same as the original, so no matter how bad the hack gets, it's still got a solid JRPG battle system at its core. What's only really been changed is all the dialogue. You don't really notice it at first, but as you go along you'll see changes of the text compared to the original. It's mostly small things at first, like Pokey's name in the English version has been reverted back to as it was in the Japanese version, but as the prologue of the game goes on, things start to unravel. While the structure of the intro is exactly the same, there is this aura of cynicism that's prevalent in the dialogue now. It feels like the characters are now wrapped in several different layers of irony. I'm just waiting for one of them to throw out a Marvel quip at some point. No fat chicks. Oh god. We're in for a real knee slapper here. You go through the intro of Earthbound, take Porky to find his brother, discover Buzz, fight the Starman, then Buzz gets killed by Porky's mom. The sun finally rises, and when it does, the true intentions of this ROM hack are finally revealed. One of Earthbound's most well-known parts are the pictures taken of you constantly throughout the game, and this all comes together at the end when the pictures are shown to you throughout the credits. You think it's pointless at first, but you see the fruits of it at the very end. Well, when the guy comes down to take your picture in this hack, it says this. Well, time to wait for the next inconvenient time to slow you down for a stupid photograph. I'm sure that won't get annoying at all. Welcome to what Mother 2.1 actually is. It's a hack dedicated to insulting and taking jabs at the game as a whole. All throughout this hack, you basically get the hacker's co-commentary on how he feels about parts of the game. You're still doing the exact same things you were in Earthbound. Your job is to go to 8 different points in the world and collect songs in the Soundstone in order to defeat Gaius. When you really get down to it, Earthbound has an extremely simple and by-the-number story. But what made Earthbound Earthbound was all the weird characters and places you came across along the way. This hack seeks to alter this by either replacing their dialogue with bad jokes or taking potshots at the game as a whole. And in order to show you the scope of what the ROM hacker has done, I'm going to show you everything I could find. So one of the first things I noticed that got changed was the tutorial moles. Yeah, for those who don't know, there are these little moles sprinkled all throughout the game that tell you about battling, and while the dialogue has been altered to where instead of explicitly telling you about game mechanics, it tries to be cheeky about it. If you allow enemies to approach you from your back or your side, they may get a surprise opening attack. When they approach you this way, your TV screen, the world around you, will show a red swirl for a second. On the other hand, if you approach an enemy from the back or the side, you may get a surprise opening attack. In that case, your TV, the world, wink wink, will show you a green swirl. Okay, so what exactly does this add to the translation? How does being self-aware about this make the dialogue better? Really, it's obnoxious. Just give me a regular tutorial. The first town of Earthbound has you beating up animals and gang members in order to get a key to get the first song. Talking to some of the town members, some of the dialogue is completely unchanged, and others are hit or miss jokes. Say something funny. I'll listen. I can't wait any longer. I'm going back to watching the news. It's funnier than anything in this game. You kinda did this to yourself. You go into the arcade, beat up the gang leader, and it's fine, except for this one line. When you buy an item that should be equipped, do you bother to actually equip it? I'm so confident that I give hints to my own enemies. There's no way that could ever be used to my disadvantage. Dear Lord, how many of these self-aware irony poison lines are there? Your trip to get the first song is mostly untouched. There's not much to comment on. But once you come out, you get hackled by the Onett police and have to go deal with them at the station. There, we deal with some more questionable dialogue changes and take out the entire force. And then we take out the captain. Wait, why is he apologizing? Why is he acting like he wasn't aware of his actions? This isn't what happened in the original game. I actually went and looked at what he said in the original, and yeah, the captain is fully lucid and he's impressed with you, and then he goes and opens up the blockade they had. So, for some reason, the ROM hacker went in and just completely rewrote this character, for no reason. So I've been hacking this old video game for kicks and giggles. I know it sounds like a huge waste of time, but in my defense, the original game was a huge waste of time too. Okay, so that's how it is. We've seen a lot of changes, from bad jokes to complete rewritings of some characters, to passive-aggressive jabs at the game itself. And this is only the first area of the game. We've only just gotten started, and I already want to jump out the window of a 7-story building. I mean, I can't really be too upset. I went out of my way to play this, so I guess I better keep going to see what else it has in store for us. Heading into the next area, Tusen, there really isn't much to comment on except more bad jokes and questionable changes, including this guy. Yeah, I paid the fool, whatever. Man, I ain't got time for this jibber-jabber. Oh, I get it. It's because he looks like Mr. T. I get it.
Shut your dang pie hole!
The next hour or two of the game, there really isn't much to comment on. A lot of the dialogue is either untouched, a bad joke, or a reference to another game. You go and rescue Paula from the cultists, then make some references to the Blue Man Group, and you get the next song for the Soundstone. The ROM hacker did add a guy wishing he was in a strip bar for some reason, and then you go to 3 and it's the same story. More bad jokes and references. See, it's something that has a Pokemon reference on it. Come on, Pokemon didn't even exist back in 1995. And then you get to the section where Ness and Paula are captured, and they call Jeff for help. The entire section where you play as Jeff solo, from what I could tell, is completely untouched. Not a single bit of dialogue seems to have been changed. I don't know if it's because the ROM hacker didn't know how, or he thought everything here was perfectly fine as it is. But yeah, this entire section is completely intact from the original, from what I can tell. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. There is actually one bit of text that's been changed. When you go into this rock dungeon, you find a sign. And it's the hacker apologizing he didn't have the skills to remove the Fuzzy Pickle guy. And then the Fuzzy Pickles guy shows up. So, the ROM hacker is actually apologizing to us he couldn't fuck up the game more, so he's just going to be vocal about it instead. Does this actually mean he could have changed the dialogue here, but just didn't bother? Was the script already punched up in this section? I don't know. So Jeff meets up with his father, he uses the UFO to go find Ness and Paula, and you rescue them. At least you're not Porky. What does that mean? See, this is exactly what I mean. This snarky dialogue change is really just the creator's personal taste and humor. There was nothing wrong with the original dialogue. It actually adds some unwanted cynical personality in this, who's not supposed to have any at all. You capture a bunch of zombies and then head to the Saturn Village, where it also looks like not much has been changed here. I guess the Saturn's dialogue was absolute cinema, and the ROM hacker knew they couldn't improve it. You get through, fight a pile of shit, and then get the third song for the Soundstone. So, at this point, I started questioning if I should even make a video on this hack, as after going so long without much changing, it feels as if the ROM hacker just gave up halfway through, so I wouldn't have much to work with for a full vid. But all that changed when I crossed the desert and made my way into the biggest town in the game, Fourside. There's of course the random dialogue changes and jokes, but as I'm exploring the city, talking to everyone I see, I come across this sign, and what's on it? Well, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Yeah, I can make pointless esoteric references to things I like too, Atoy. It's not funny when you do it, and it's not funny when I do it. Bite me, you overrated, pretentious hack. Whoever wrote this sign clearly has unresolved anger issues. It's sad, really. Oh my god. That is one of the most venomous, hateful things I've ever seen put in a game. And it's glorious. Let me remind you, this was the creator's one and only ROM hack. He went out of his way to hack this game, edit all the text, honed all these skills just to be able to use these skills to call the creator of the game an overrated hack. Now this is extremely petty and pathetic at the end of the day, but in a way, you actually have to admire it. The fact something like this even exists, the fact that this is considered not only one of the greatest RPGs ever made, but one of the greatest games of all time. But the ROM hacker wasn't a fan, and he wanted to let people know he wasn't a fan of the game or the creator, and this is the end result. That is true spite if I've ever seen it. Seeing this one sign is the thing that gave me enough motivation that I had to see this hack to the very end, just to see what other edits he made. This is no longer just a petty ROM hack, this is pettiness in the form of art. So now we're continuing through the game. This is a section where you gotta go defeat 5 moles in the desert cave. Ugh, god This is probably the worst section of the game. By the end, I was running low on resources and ready to leave. You get a diamond, pay off the Runaway Fi's debt, and now you can head into the department store which just opened. Some jerk just showed up to stop everything I was doing and take a picture of me. He clearly thought he was really funny for doing it, or he just gets off of making kids say fuzzy pickles. If I was doing anything important like saving the world or something, it would have been even more annoying. What a jackass. Enough with the damn pot shots already. Yeah, I get it, the fuzzy pickles guys can get annoying at times. But Jesus Christ, how many times are we gonna crap on the guy? At this point, it's becoming just as obnoxious. I kind of feel sad for him in a way. Poor fuzzy pickles guy. You go in the department store, Paula gets kidnapped, and now you gotta go through Moonside in order to help save her. I'll tell you what I hate in this world. That's Reddit. The color, the smell, the taste, the texture. Hey, you're drooling! Wow, who knew the people in Moonside were so based? You destroy the evil Mighty Mighty statue, go and rescue Paula, get the next song in Winters. Ah, yes. What a great new piece of lore this hack adds. That GIF grew out to be Otacon. You use the Skyrunner to fly all the way to Summers, where you can explore and check out all the different places. Reddit? Please. We do not have such trash on our menu. You know, maybe choosing Reddit as my favorite food was possibly the greatest choice I could have made for this hack. You get high, and eventually start playing as poo. Now, mercifully, the ROM hacker has also hardly touched this section of the game as well, and I'm grateful for that because the part where Pooh goes into battle and has his senses taken from him is, in my opinion, one of the best parts of the game, and it's here completely unaltered, as it should be. You can't improve on it. After this, Pooh finally comes and joins up with your gang, and now you have the full party of Earthbound. But at this point, I think this is where the ROM hacker finally started to lose interest in this whole project, as from this point forward, there really isn't much to talk about. For the most part, a lot of the dialogue remains completely unchanged, which, to be completely fair, changing all the text in an RPG is quite an undertaking in the first place, even if it is to make the dialogue worse and take jabs at the creator. Can't really fault them for losing interest, but it also makes my job easier. At this point, it just really felt like I was playing a normal game of Earthbound. I forgot this was even a ROM hack at this point. Getting the next two songs from Fourside and Pooh's area, going across the sea, fighting the Kraken, going through the desert, beating the Dungeon Man and going through the swamp. You go and rescue Jeff's dad and a bunch of other civilians from the Starmen. What, no more Mr. T jokes? Man, the hacker really did give up at this point, didn't he? Going through the Pretty Light Cave and going to the dive store area and getting the last song, the only thing that really stood out to me was when you take a sip of this little goblin's tea, where in this enlightening message scroll there's yet another shot at the Fuzzy Pickles guy. So after defeating the final Sanctuary Guardian and getting the last song, you are teleported to MagicMush, which is one of the most memorable areas of the game. And thankfully, the dev didn't really touch anything here either. Everything in this area seems to be completely intact, as it should be. Pretty much everything in this last section of the game seems to be intact. Magicant getting the meteor piece, and heading to the Cave of the Past to confront Gygus. But I know what you're all wondering. Did anything change with the final boss? We make it through the Cave of the Past, and finally through the tubes of flesh, to finally make it to the Devil's Machine. Porky appears, and after a few hours of nothing really being changed, the ROM hacker has yet again decided to completely rewrite the character here. Now all of a sudden he tries to make Porky more sympathetic? With his new dialogue, reflecting on the reasons he switched sides to be allied with Gygus was because Ness is a quote-unquote bad friend. I mean, he might not necessarily be wrong in this instance. You saw that jab at him when Jeff joined our party, right? I'm pretty sure the whole point of Porky was he was just a little shit. He has literally zero redeeming qualities. He's one of those characters you just want to spit on when you see him. Don't try to make me feel any empathy for this bastard. He's fat! You fight him, he turns off the Devil's Machine to let Gygus loose, and honestly, at this point, I was expecting like a demonic version of the Fuzzy Pickles guy to be the final boss, considering how much the ROM hacker hated him. But alas, the final boss and all the faces surrounding him are untouched. He only changed Porky's dialogue and stopped there. You do your thing, pray your heart out and destroy him, and the evil is finally vanquished. Well, the deed is done. I just got through the most passive-aggressive ROM hack I've ever seen. Jeff and Pooh leave, You're free to explore the game, to celebrate your victory, and see how the dialogue changes. Now, of course, I had to walk around and see if the hacker changed anything during this section, but mostly everything seems to be intact yet again. There are probably a few things changed here and there for the hack, but to be honest, I couldn't be bothered to find them. I'm wore out at this point. Everyone seems to be happy and celebrating that Gygas is now gone, but after all that, there is still evil to be found out there. Because the sign is still here. You escort Paula home, head home yourself, and then the game is finally over. Oh, and the after credit stinger is still here too. See you in 11 years! I have never seen a ROM hack quite like this one. I've seen hacks that make games harder, or some that change the entire game into something else. But this is a hack purely dedicated to insulting the game and its creator. It would be one thing to make a 5-hour essay on why Earthbound is an overrated, overhyped game, but this guy didn't do that. He went into the game's code and altered the text to have the creator's own creations say his game sucks and call him a hack. That is a level of spite one can only dream of having. I'm not even mad this hack exists. I'm amazed and honestly happy it does. Not liking a game is perfectly fine. Earthbound is not for everyone. But to think you can do better and then your hack is filled with fat chick jokes and Reddit humor, this entire hack serves as a testament. If you're gonna talk big, you better walk big. As one review put it so well, this hack feels like it was made by a guy who doesn't like Earthbound, who probably heard it through internet talk and all the games inspired by it, and then played it and was disappointed when it wasn't what he thought it would be. And so he made this hack as a response to what he thought would be better, as well as kind of serving as his own personal commentary on the game. You know, how long does it take to build a huge project? It can maybe be a week, or several months, maybe even several years to build something huge. Now, how many days does it take to destroy it all? Just one. It's easier to tear something down than it is to create something, and this hack proves it. The hacker can insult a toy in this game all he wants, but when it comes to actually creating it yourself, it's harder than you think. That's why this hack got a poor reception. You could maybe say this was all a troll hack and just made her all people up, but the fact that the dev had to go back in and change a lot of it makes me think otherwise. This was a genuine attempt of an amateur ROM hacker trying to make Earthbound how he sees it. Earthbound was made in a time where outside Japan, JRPGs were still extremely niche. Yeah, some people played them, but they wouldn't really take off in the mainstream outside Japan until Final Fantasy VII, which was 2 years away. A lot of people just sort of scoffed at the idea of taking turns in battle not being more focused on action than strategic turn-based combat. But adding to that fact was that Earthbound, which was a game from an already niche market, was even more of a stray away from the typical JRPG formula. The typical JRPG for around the time was fantasy based in a fictional medieval times land. Earthbound took place in an American-themed world in the current year of 1995, with cars and TVs and all the tech at the time. You didn't use swords or daggers, you used baseball bats and slingshots. There weren't any random encounters, you could see all the enemies on the map. The fact a game that strayed away from the norm in a genre that wasn't popular outside Japan at the time, it's a miracle this game got a localization at all. It was the only Mother game that was localized around the time of its original release. The first Mother game didn't officially leave Japan until about 26 years later, and the less we say about Mother 3 fans still waiting for an official translation, the better. The game sold like garbage at release, and now goes for Jesus Christ! What I'm saying here is, Earthbound had to earn its wings to gain the fame and recognition it deserved. If the right person at Nintendo didn't want the game localized, then it never would have. So for this hack to go out of its way to put down everything in the game and replace it with the stuff he thinks is better, it takes a lot of balls, even if it kind of undermines what the game's existence really stands for. The dialogue isn't getting punched up, it's just getting punched. Earthbound was meant to be strange and the odd one out to anyone who played it. You probably would never forget about it if you did. And seeing the game's fame today, that's exactly what happened. It definitely made enough of an impact on the creator of this hack to even go out of his way to do all this. And also, let me reiterate for the final time. Do not seek out and bother the guy who made this hack. Hell, he's probably forgotten all about it at this point. Instead, we should appreciate the piece of art he's given us. The entertainment this hack gave us, a man who truly did improve the Earthbound experience, in a way he probably didn't intend, but somehow he still managed to do it. Maybe I'm just easily entertained, but hey, can you tell me any other type of fan work like this? I'm glad something like this exists. I'm a believer in artistic freedom. I believe artists should have the full ability to put whatever they want in their art. Everyone else's opinion be damned. Shigesato Itoi should have had the ability to make 1 billion Earthbounds if he wanted to. They should have given him a budget to make whatever he wanted. And of course, artists can have bad, sometimes atrocious ideas that most probably wouldn't like. But sometimes, even when those ideas are awful, the end product is still a treat to enjoy. And I believe this ROM hack is an example of that. Godspeed, ROM hacker, wherever you are. And so, our journey with this hack comes to an end, and I thank you all who have watched for going on it with me. Earthbound is an RPG classic that people should enjoy for decades to come, and ROM hackers will continue to make changes to the game in their image as well, as they should have the full right to, even when you're biting off more than you can chew. God bless, like and subscribe, and good night. And remember, my friends, to go and dust off your Mother 3 official localization fans.